People are still grabbing their seats. Take this opportunity right now. Per tradition, if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance Good job. Nice for practicing. That was nice. That was well done. All right. Before we get too far into it, I've got two distinguished people I would like to introduce. Representative Gomez and Senator Comerford. Where are you? Right there in the back. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come to our Humboldt meeting. Thank you. We're going to begin tonight with a dedication of the town report and the Fred Oakley Award. Molly Keegan, if you would please.
Okay, thanks, Kirk. At this time, I would like to invite up Kathy Tudrin. So tonight we're dedicating the annual town report to Kathy's sister, Peg Tudrin. So Margaret Peg, also known as Peg, Tudrin provided a lifetime of incredible service in education and governance to the town, the Pioneer Valley, and the Commonwealth, from her local upbringing until her passing in March of 2025. We are proud the town of Hadley's 2024 annual report to such a passionate and devoted educator, public servant, and leader whom we miss very dearly. Peg's love of education was grown locally as a member of the Hopkins Academy class of 19 and the Smith College class of 1958. Following her graduation, she began her career as a teacher of social studies at Hopkins Junior High. In '62, she moved to Hopkins Academy, where she taught social studies and history for 8 years. She then took her educational prowess to Northampton High School in 1970 as a teacher of social studies, history, and psychology, where she continued to teach until 1993. During her tenure in Northampton, Peg would become the department head and curriculum coordinator for social studies in the Northampton Public Schools. She co-founded the Northampton Education Foundation and was president of the Northampton Teachers Association. Her incredible 35-year career as an educator is marked by continuous passion for her subject and students, as well as unrelenting dedication to the communities she called home. Peg was also active in statewide education policy. She was a member of the Massachusetts Teachers Association and a member of the Retired Education Association of Massachusetts. Her associational membership also extended to the Massachusetts Teachers Association Political Candidate Recommendation Committee, as well as the MTA Retirement Committee. Aside from education, Peg had long participated in Hadley local governance. Appointed by the Select Board, she served as the town as a member of the Historical Commission, Long Range Planning Committee, and the CPA Committee. She was also chair for the Personnel Policies Handbook Committee and longtime member and former chair of the Hadley Democratic Town Committee. She has also been a member of the Hadley Historical Society. Peg's work and accomplishments have been broadly recognized. Locally, she received a Distinguished Alumni Award during the Hopkins Academy 350th celebration. She also received the Town of Hadley's Fred Oakley Award for Volunteer of the Year in 2014. She too was named a Distinguished Woman of Massachusetts, for which she was recognized at the State House. We are grateful to have had such a dedicated member of the Hadley community in Peg. Her contributions to the town and beyond are unquantifiable, and we are honored to recognize her incredible work in this iteration of the annual report. And personally, I was glad to call Peg a friend. So now we move on to the W. Fred Oakley Award. And this year's recipient is Mr. John Allen. John, are you here with Amy? No? Oh, okay, great. Couldn't get him out, huh?
Couldn't get him out.
Okay, all right, that's okay. So we have family representation here, John's daughters. The Fred Oakley Award was established by the Select Board to honor members of the community who embody the spirit of volunteerism and service to the town of Hadley. The 2024 recipient of this award is John Allen. John has a long history of public service to the Hadley community, beginning with his tenure as selectman, now known as the Select Board, from 1985 until 1991. During this time, he served on the Advisory Committee for Replacement of Fire Department Equipment in 1986, the Long Range Housing Study Committee in 1988, and the Growth Management Committee in 1989. In 1992, he was appointed to the Industrial Development Committee, on which he served until 1998. After a decade of well-deserved rest, John returned to Hadley governance and joined the Finance Committee from 2009, where he remained until 2012. From 2017 to 19, he served on the Hadley Public Access Television Advisory Committee, where he worked to help keep the public aware of local government activities and provide low-cost benefits to residents. John was elected to the Housing Authority for a 2022 to 23 term, and in 2024, he was appointed to the Form of Government Committee, on which he currently serves. We thank John for his decades of dedicated service to the town of Hadley, and are incredibly grateful for his contributions across boards and committees. His love for the town and the community are evident in his work and passion for local governance. Much like Peg, I'm happy to call John my friend and also periodically my arch nemesis. Thank you, John. So now we're going to move on to the business of the evening. Just a few opening comments. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Before we get started with the warrant articles, again, just a few brief remarks to provide some context. In preparation for tonight's meeting, I actually stumbled across opening comments that were made for the 2017 annual town meeting, some 8 years ago. That night, the Select Board thought it was important to tell you that we had a difficult time balancing our budget. We enjoyed some new growth in tax revenues, but not enough to keep up with the needs in public safety and the schools in particular. I even mentioned the word override in the event that we needed to head in that direction. A lot has transpired since 2017. The town built 3 new buildings, the senior center, library, and fire substation. And thank goodness we did, given the cost estimates that we would face today. We survived the pandemic with no layoffs and the help of ARPA funding from the federal government. And through prudent fiscal management, we even raised our bond rating to AAA in 2019. And we managed to bring forward a balanced budget annually, largely by containing pay raises, shorting line items like building maintenance, and saying no to departmental requests. But we knew at some point we were going to hit a wall. Tonight, we want you to know that we think the wall may be here. On the revenue front, there are some zoning changes and legislative acts in the works that may provide for new growth and increase revenues down the road. You'll be voting on some of that tonight. One major challenge has been on the expense side. The wage study that was started in 2020 was finally completed last year, resulting in much needed but costly increases in payroll to bring our valued employees up to market rates of pay. During that time, 2 new unions formed, bringing the majority of all municipal employees under collective bargaining agreements. Our original plan, started 2 years ago to bring all the ambulance services in-house, has been fraught with rising staffing costs and compressed revenues, causing us to put a pause on that initiative. And the town is not immune to the inflationary pressures that we are all feeling at home right now. Our past reluctance to raise water and sewer rates has put us in a position of now drawing down on those reserves. Clearly, this is not sustainable. So, with those happy thoughts in mind, Mr. Moderator? Oh, the floor is yours again.
Thank you, Molly. All right, before we get into the meat of things, I was handed a whole bunch of stuff and asked to read it. And given everyone's in a crazed mood to get out before when the meeting is over, I'm going to read them right now. First of all, paper shredding event. You guys got confidential stuff you don't know what to do with and you want it shredded? Hadley Senior Center parking lot, 10 a.m. to noon, Saturday, May 17th. Free of charge, limit to 5 boxes, but they will happily shred whatever you need shredded. Also, for over 35 years, the Hadley Mothers Club has sponsored Candidates Night and as a service to the town of Hadley. This event provides an opportunity to present their platform at the public forum and answer questions pertaining to their candidacy from town residents. This is live and available for online viewing if you cannot attend. That's going to be Wednesday, May 12th, 6:30, meet and greet, 7 o'clock the program begins. What's that? May 12th is Monday, I apologize. May 12th, Monday. It's going to be right here. So 7 o'clock on Monday, May 12th. Meet the candidates. And the last announcement. The Hadley Banner Preview Picnic will be Sunday, May 4th at the Young Men's Club. We've got 43 new banners to be added to the 81. And if you go around town, you can see there's there for the veterans that served, veteran sponsor, family. It is noon to 1. The dedication ceremony will be 1 to 2. The public is invited, and the color guard will be there at 1, and lunch will be served. So if you got someone you want to put on a banner, that's probably the place to go to find out about it. And all right, Article 1 in the warrant. Well, let me start back here. Looking for my notes. There we go. Let's make it official. Good evening and welcome to the annual town meeting, May 1st, 2025. Being about 7:10 and a quorum being present, we have 158, 160 people here right now. Again, thank you. I call the meeting to order. The return of the warrant shows it has properly been served. At this point, I'd like to introduce you to the people sitting up here. We have the Select Board, Molly Keegan, Chair, Randy Iser, David Phil, Jane Nevin-Smith, and Amy Parsons. Town Administrator, Chief Michael Mason, Town Clerk, Matt Provencher of Mead, Tollerman, Costa, Council, Town Clerk, Jessica Spanknable, Finance Committee, Amy Fiden, Chair, Paul Benjamin, Vice Chair, Shardul Pamar, Andy Klepacki, and Peter Matusko, and I am your moderator, Kirk Watley. I'd like to thank Hadley Media for setting everything up and making sure the microphones are working for the recording. And again, the Hadley's Mother Club is in back, so be sure to go back and check out them as well. So let's move. I'll be reading the articles in motion form, asking for a second, and then we will begin a discussion of the articles. The first article is the annual town meeting, just letting you guys know what's coming up. Shall the town vote to have its elected constables as a ballot question? I'm not supposed to read that, am I? The ballot question? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. All right, the ballot question is going to be, shall the town vote to have its elected constables become appointed constables to the town? Motion, move the town vote to approve Article 1, town election. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any questions?
What are we doing here?
We're voting. We're putting on the annual town election. Oh, don't need a vote for that. I apologize. Okay, my apology for that. Got too many notes up here. All right, we have a consent agenda for Articles 2, 3, 4, 5, 16, and 17. Move. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to apply for and expend any Massachusetts small city program grants and monies or any federal, state, and grants and monies received set forth. Select Board 5-0, Finance Committee 4-0. Article 3, move the town appropriate funds to provide the town by the state under Chapter 90 money and other funds as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Transportation may provide, to authorize the Select Board to enter into contracts with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Highway Division, Chapter 90, type money allocated to the town by the state. Article 4, move the treasurer authorize and is approved of the Select Board to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, in accordance with the provisions of the Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 4, and to issue or note or notes therefore payable within 1 year, and to renew any note or notes that may be given for a period of less than a year in accordance with the Mass General Law, Section 4417. Article 5, move that in accordance with Mass General Law, Section 30B, subsection 12B, the town administrator or select board are authorized to solicit and award grants for terms exceeding 3 years, including the renewal, extension, or option, provided in each instance as longer term is determined to be the best interest of the town by vote of the select board. Dig up Article 16. Article 16, move the town reserve for later appropriation the following sums of money from the Community Preservation Fund. Estimated annual revenues of fiscal year 2026. Open space, $50,000. Historic preservation, $50,000. Human resources, $50,000. And appropriate the sum of $10,400 from the Community Preservation Fund. Estimated fiscal year 2026 annual revenues to be divided $5,000 for all necessary and proper expenses of the Community Preservation Committee for the year, including any administrative expenses, and $5,400 for the Community Preservation Committee administrative payroll. And lastly, Article 17, move the town vote to extend the completion deadline for the CPA projects as delineated in Article 17 of the town warrant meeting May 1st, 2025, and incorporate by reference therein. These are largely housekeeping articles, but if anybody has any questions, please approach a microphone. And I need the name and street address, please.
Greg Qualick, 16 East Commons Drive. Will council please explain the act that is cited for each one of these?
Evening. I'm just not sure I understand the question.
Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, subsection 12B. What does that say?
So that
Article
is a
5.
provision of state law. Chapter 30B is a provision of state law that governs the public procurement of contracts. It limits absent of... Louder.
Matt.
So Chapter 30B is a provision of state law that governs the public procurement of contracts. Unless the town votes at town meeting to empower the select board to make the decision that it can enter into a contract that exceeds 3 years, the town cannot do so. So this is a pretty routine administrative item. The law allows the vote, and it's been put on the warrant for that purpose.
Mr. Moderator, have we ever had a consent agenda?
Yes, we have, many times.
Many times. Okay.
Every year.
Just want to consider. Article 5, contracts in excess of 3 years. There are no stipulations, no guidelines, no boundaries, no anything in this that would give the citizens the ability to say no, only the select board, and including any renewal, extension, or option, provided in the longer term is determined to be in the best interest, and the select board are determining the best interest. So would anybody like it if the bank said, we're going to extend your mortgage another 40 years?
You don't elect the people at the bank, sir.
What?
You don't elect the people at the bank. You elect your select board.
Same thing as this is written. No?
No.
So we're giving the select board to use a term, executive power to determine what is in the best interests of the town of Hadley?
They are the executive board of the town.
I understand that, but they report to the population.
Right,
So-
which holds them accountable, the ballot box.
I'm just concerned that there are no limits or boundaries to this article, and that they may do with what they wish, when they wish it, and so on and so forth. That's my point.
I'm sorry, Jane?
So the select board does all the contracts for the town, and the town people actually don't have anything to do with contracts unless you get after us. So you've elected the select board, you trust us to sign the contracts on your behalf. It is not something that ever goes before the population as a whole.
I was also going to say this is for administrative purposes only. So it's for vendors or consultants. It has nothing to do with anyone who's employed by the town.
Okay.
Hi. Joyce Chungalo, 181 Bay Road. Could somebody just give us the numbers for stabilization, CPA, free cash? Can we have all those numbers now so that we can have all of this in front of us right now? Because as we go through the budget, we'd like to have, oh, there it is, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? I motioned and seconded, yeah. Okay. So we have got 157 to 1. Two. I'm sorry, 2. I missed the other one. I apologize. Motion passes. Article 6, move the town transfer $150,000 from the water reserves to the Water Plant Filtration Stabilization Fund as per provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40, subsection 5B, for the purpose of repairing and replacing water plant filtration membranes and associated expenses. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. David.
So this is something that we do every year. It's kind of a savings account to pay for these very expensive treatment membranes that filter all of our water out of the wells on Bay Road. So every town meeting, we put $150,000 aside. So when they come due, I believe it's 10 years, Scott? Yep, 10 years. We have to replace these membranes. We have the money put aside and don't have to come for a special spending article. So.
Okay, any questions concerning Article 6? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? Article 6 passes unanimously. Article 7, move the town amend the fiscal year 2025 general budget voted at the special town meeting on November 14th, 2024, in the total amount $270,711 as described in Table A1 of the general fund budget in the handout entitled Articles 7.1 and 7.2. amendments to fiscal year FY25 omnibus budget general fund and enterprise fund budgets as presented at the annual town meeting and incorporated by reference herein, and transfer from the available funds the total sum of $110,335 as set forth in Table A1 to the special revenue funds, opioid settlements and stabilization funds, and further to redirect, appropriate, and transfer $160,376 of those funds to the omnibus budget referred to in Article 8 as set forth in the individual budget appropriations listed under the column FY26 Finance Committee budget as described in Article A1, and the general fund budget in the handout entitled Articles 8 and 9 FY26 Omnibus General Fund Budget and Enterprise Fund Budgets as presented at the annual town meeting and incorporated by reference hereinto. Is there a second? All right. So we have got Article 7. Linda Sanderson, please make sense of all that.
All that was to say, we are amending the FY25 budget, which is the current year's budget. And the $270,711 is actually a negative number. We are returning money from the FY25 budget. So the purpose of this is twofold. First is that when we met in the fall, we had a single figure put into the select board budget that would cover the raises in all departments across the board to settle union negotiations and other raises at the time. So the first part of this is to allocate out from the select board budget. You see select board is negative, and then there are various other departments where the money is being moved into those departments. So that's a wash, that's a net zero. And the second purpose of this amended budget is, you've heard that it's a tight year in our budgeting for FY26, and we made 2 cuts to the FY25 budget that would restore money to be used towards the FY26 budget again. The primary cut was to OPEB funding. Every year we have been putting money into OPEB. We have done that so faithfully and well over time that our advisor assures us that we are okay in taking a pause for a few years as we take care of other business. We are currently at the 75th percentile in Massachusetts for contributions to OPEB. So we're really doing a good job.
Linda, could you describe what OPEB?
Other post-employment benefits, OPEB. And those are the benefits that we pay to our prior employees, our retired employees. We continue to pay their health insurance and some other costs after they have left the town. And what happened when that we began is that there was always more money, there was always plenty of money to make those payments, and it was found at some point that we were accumulating or not just us, this is across the board, the accumulations of the liabilities to our former employees were amassing into such funds of money that we were then required to put money away. We had to save money and put it in there so the money would be there. Otherwise, at the rate it was going, basically those kinds of OPEB and retirement would basically take over our entire budget. So we have to be taking away from our budget each year and putting these funds aside. But we've done a fine job of it in Hadley, and we're okay taking a break. So that is the upshot of our negative $270,000 general fund budget. And in the enterprise fund budget, we are doing something similar. There was a debt payment. The debt schedule we had for payment of debt was apparently incorrect to the extent of $5,000. So we recouping that $5,000 and putting it back into sewer reserves, which it was in the balance slide. The one fund that was actually in the negative is going to cure that negative balance.
The Select Board has recommended Article 7 500, Finance Committee as well 500. Any questions or comments concerning Article 7? Seeing none, we will move to a vote. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed you. I apologize.
Linda Nielsen, 20 Middle Street. Can you explain what, to me, the layperson not knowing about this, what opioid settlements are? It sounds like an addict sued us and now we have to pay, or we're going to run a settlement house for addicts? I just not clear.
It's quite the opposite. Linda, would you care to address that? It's quite the opposite, actually.
It is. These are funds that are required to be paid out to cities and states across the country for opioid. The opioid settlement is the settlement from the drug companies paying back into the communities for the damage that was done over the years, and we all have a certain percentage. That there's some formulas to determine how much each of the communities is owed, depending on the nature of their population and their particular needs. And so these are monies we receive each year. I think this is our third year for receiving funds, and we haven't actually gotten started on it yet. We thought we would get going on it in '25. That's not going to happen. And the reason we want to put it in here to bring it back is so that we don't lose the funds to, I mean, we really have to retrieve the funds back in so that we will then be reallocating them out in the '26 budget.
So basically, we're receiving funds from the pharmaceutical companies. So money's coming to us instead of the other way around. Any other questions concerning Article 7? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your red card. Thank you. You can put that down. All those opposed? Article 7 passes unanimously. Article 8, move. I'm sorry. What's that? 7.2. Okay, we have another one. Motion 7.2. Move that the town amend fiscal year 2025 sewer enterprise fund budget voted at special town meeting November 14th, 2024, in the total sum of $5,000 as described in table B1 of the enterprise fund budget in the handout entitled Articles 7.1 and 7.2, amended to fiscal FY25 omnibus budget, general fund, and the enterprise fund budgets as presented at the annual town meeting and incorporated by reference herein, and to redirect, appropriate, and transfer those funds to the sewer reserve, the total sum of $5,000 described in table B1. Is there a second? Second. Linda?
I did explain that.
Sure, please, if you would.
Yeah, I had gone ahead, I went ahead on that one. That's the 5,000 we're returning to sewer reserves.
Any questions on Article 7.2? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? 7.2 is unanimous. Yes, 7.1 is unanimous, yes. Article 8, move that $22,758,333 be appropriated as set forth in the individual budget appropriations listed under column FY26 Finance Committee budget as described in table A1 of the general fund budget in the handout entitled Articles 8 and 9 FY26 Omnibus General Fund Budget and Enterprise Fund budgets as presented at the annual town meeting and incorporated by reference herein as the funding thereto. To transfer from local revenue funds raised via taxation, certified free cash, redirected free cash, and any other available funds, to raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds the total sum of $22,758,333 as estimated in Table A1, and to fund the operating budget set forth therein. Do I have a second? Select Board recommends 400. Finance Committee recommends 400. Chief or Town Administrator Mason? Both.
You mind if I stand up here? Good evening, everyone. Mike Mason. Just so everybody's aware, the 400 votes are because on that night there was a select board member and a finance committee member missing. The vote wasn't just accidentally not recorded. So the budget that you have before you, Linda and I began working on in January. The budget process, as some of you probably already know, can take weeks and sometimes months to complete. Anyone who has seen the FY26 budget book should be aware at this point of the significant reductions Linda and I have made and worked with the department heads to make in order to try to balance the budget while also trying to preserve the levels of staffing that we have as well as the services that we provide for the town. We did, again, have to make really deep cuts in some of the expense lines for a lot of different departments. We went back to the drawing board multiple times after having meetings with both finance and select board to try to gather more information as to what they were looking for from us. And we're proud that we were able to achieve a unanimous agreement from both the finance committee and the select board. I had to fight Kirk at the beginning of the meeting because he really wanted to read line by line the $22 million budget to all of you. But I won that fight, so he's not going to do that. What I would like to do is invite Linda, our finance director, up, as well as Amy Fiden, the chair of the finance committee, to just give you a general overview of what the FY26 budget looks like.
So, yeah, this year was not pretty. It has probably been the most difficult budget we've had to deal with. We did meet with all the department heads and reviewed their budget requests. I can say, unfortunately, we did not grant any wants. We even did not meet the needs of all the departments completely. This is really a Band-Aid of a budget, but it is balanced at this time. So the balanced budget that we have is $22,758,333. We're going to continue to work on this. You'll hear probably more from us, but we're going to continue to work on this through the summer. But it is a very difficult budget, and Linda will give more details. Thanks. Needed.
Right, we have a couple of slides just to take you through first the revenues. This is the same as the chart that you have at the head of your handout, but it goes back a few years, and the actual revenues that we had, you see how it's grown over the years. For 25 to 26, in the last column, it shows the increases in revenues in the various areas and what we had to work with as a growth from 25 to 26. The actual town revenues are in the top block: taxes, state aid, local receipts, and enterprise chargebacks. So we had an increase of $825,227. From that, though, we had less free cash to work with, and so that was a reduction in the first line of free cash available. In Article 7, we just voted to redirect that $160,000 into this budget, so that partly made up for us having less in free cash. We were able to use, since the ambulance fund did take in fees this past year, we had $94,000 available to apply to the ambulance fund. We just talked about the opioids money coming back, and we reduced what we used from stabilization. So really just had a little under $800,000 to apply to the increase in budget from 25 to 26. So the next slide is a similar, this is a summary of the 3 pages that you have in front of you. Our budget is in government areas, the 100s, and if you want a translation, it's every budget that you have in your handout that starts with 1. The 200s are public safety, 300s is the school, 400s public works, and so on. You can see over in the right column again that we had actually a cut in general government in order to accommodate other increases we dealt with. There is an increase in public safety. That includes the ambulance, which is now moved into, to the extent we were able to, moved into the budget for the first time. Also, it includes $90,000 in opioid spending. So it's not as large an increase as it might appear there. Education, $100,000, not much for an increase in school spending. Public Works, only $40,000 for over the year before. Human Services, 60. A chunk of that was moved over. This is not any additional programming or employees. The 60,000 is about at least a third to a half of it is our positions that were previously funded by grants that we're taking into the general fund budget. So that they are also evenly funded this year. Culture Rec, debt payment, we kept about the same. Benefits other, that was a real hit on us this year. It looks like it's only at $278,000, but remember that we also are stopping using, we're not funding OPEB this year, which was supposed to be $200,000. So had we been including OPEB in there, the benefits, the increase in health insurance and retirement was up quite a bit. That would have been about almost $500,000 out of our $800,000 increase just going into benefits alone. So there we are. We did the best we could with what we have, and we're hoping that you'll be able to support the recommendations of the Finance Committee and Select Board in this. Thank you.
Any questions or comments concerning Article 8?
Tony Fiden, Cold Spring Lane. I just want to clarify something that the chief said in his introduction when he said that he worked to make deep cuts. You're talking about the cuts and the reductions, the increases, correct? Were there any cuts made in departments, or were these just want to be clear about that?
There was no, we were able to maintain staffing levels across the entire town
So
as they are. The cuts were to all of the expense lines.
So there were no deep cuts. There were no cuts to the actual budget.
Personnel remains the same.
Thank you.
Any other questions concerning Article 8? Seeing none, we will move to a vote. I already mentioned Select Board and Finance Committee. All those in favor of Article 8, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed. Article 8 passes unanimously. Article 9. This is a long one, bear with me. Move that the sum of $1,117,381 as recommended in the handout entitled Articles 8 and 9 FY26 Omnibus General Fund Budget and Enterprise Fund Budgets, Table B, Enterprise Fund Operating Budget and Expenses, be appropriated to the FY 2026 Wastewater Division Enterprise Fund account to be expended for the respective purposes set forth, and as funding therefore, raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds the amount in Table B1 as presented at the annual town meeting and incorporated by reference herein. And further, move that the sum of $1,297,168 as recommended in the handout entitled Articles 8 and 9 FY26 Omnibus General Fund Budget and Enterprise Fund Budgets, Table B, Enterprise Fund Operating Budget and Expenses, be appropriated to the FY 2026 Water Division Enterprise Fund to be expended for the respective purposes and set forth, and as funding therefore, and raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds the amount in Table B1 as presented at the annual town meeting and incorporated by reference therein. And further, that the sum of $87,534 as recommended in the handout entitled Articles 8 and 9 FY26 Omnibus General Fund Budget and Enterprise Fund Budgets, Table B, Enterprise Fund Operating Budget and Expenses, be appropriated to the FY 2026 Hadley Media Enterprise Fund to be expended for the respective purposes set forth, and as funding therefore, raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds the amount in Table B1 as presented at the annual town meeting and incorporated by reference herein. Do I have a second? Second, okay. Finance Committee recommends 500. Select Board recommends 500. And Chief.
Thank you, sir. The comments that I made for the omnibus budget and the comments Amy made for the omnibus budget stand the same for the enterprise budget. It is handled one and the same. We just do them separately. And I just want, one thing I want everybody to make sure that you understand is that we do have 3 enterprise funds. We have Hadley Media, who's handling the show that you're watching tonight. We have sewer reserves and we have water reserves, and their budgets are fully funded by the receipts that come in for those reserves. Linda will give you a general overview again of the numbers for those budgets.
Okay, the enterprise the fund budgets are on the 3rd page of your 3-page handout. And once again, I will have a summary sheet here for you. The top is the revenues, and the bottom chart is the budgets. Our 3 enterprise funds, as was just described, are sewer, water, and Hadley Media. This will show a progression over the years of the revenues that have come in. From 25 to 26, we have a $212,000 increase. They're lumped together, but it's not really like that since they're independent. Sewer is $122,000 increase, water is $89,000, and Hadley Media just $227,000. Since they are enterprise funds and should be staying within the receipts, we have budgets that should be staying with it. As you look across, you can see that our budgets have been higher than receipts in the past. All of those funds have reserve accounts. It's one of the balances that were given in one of the earlier slides. We can all go back if you have any questions about it. So they have reserves. We've been using reserves to balance the budget over the last few years. You can see 24, we actually had for the most part, the revenues exceeded budgets. We struggled with it in 25 again, used up a lot of reserves. And then this year, we really are just kind of barely there. We're pretty close to $3 million for each, and we're trying to accomplish this by cutting the budgets, but it is probably trying to be looking again to make sure that our rates and our income in those areas are sufficient to cover the needs in the budgets. But there we are, and once again, we hope for the support of the decisions of the 2 boards. Thank you.
Any questions concerning Article 9?
Somebody's taller. Joyce Chungalo, 181 Bay Road. Can you tell us why the sewer is running in a negative, and what do we need to do to fix that?
Yep, microphone.
Do you mean operationally, or were you talking about the negative balance that we had earlier? Negative balance that you had. Okay, yeah. That was fun. When we went into special town meeting in the fall, we go with their certified free cash balances that state gives us as of July 1. And we went in and we spent money at our fall town meeting, and we left town meeting with a balance of $27,000. And then somewhere between town meeting and in December, the state, because we were getting the tax rate set and they looked at a lot of our numbers, they recertified us at an amount that was lower. They recertified us at an amount that was less than what we had just spent at the town meeting. So it resulted in a negative balance that we had not intended and we did not intentionally do, and we didn't even know that it had happened until the recertification.
State recertification, could you just review that quickly?
Well, in our reserves for the enterprise funds, just as with our free cash reserves, we don't have money until the state says we have money. So let's say we get a lot of extra revenue in this year, and we know we've got a lot of revenue, we want to spend it at town meeting. Well, we can't because it hasn't been certified yet. So once a year, as of July 1, the accountant submits all of our information. I don't know what kind of, they submit all the documentation on our spendings and our incomes for the year, and what our balance was the year before, and any other comings and goings in our funds that might not have been expected. And as of July 1, they certify and they said, this is how much money you have going into the next year. So each year as we're spending, we have we are working with the amount of money that is certified as of July 1. So that's why we are sometimes able to spend more money in the fall, is because we have more money than certified, even though we may have known ahead of July 1 that we had some extra money coming. We cannot spend it until it's been certified.
So the state came back and said, you've got less money than you thought you had when they recertified?
Yes.
Okay.
Fortunately, that did not happen with free cash or the other funds, but it happened with sewer, which is the one that could least spare it, unfortunately. So, we fixed it.
Okay. Yes.
Melinda Nielsen, 20 Middle Street. So I've been voting for these articles that include the phrase enterprise fund. And I feel a little foolish because I don't know what an enterprise fund is. And I think of an enterprise as a business. So are these businesses that, like we're
You grab the
selling
microphone.
water, we're selling...
We'll get you an
In
answer.
its simplest terms, yes. Essentially, people pay for the water service and pay for sewer service, and it goes into those funds. And then the town uses that money to pay specifically to fix your water pipes, fix the sewer pipes, and things like that. So yes, essentially, it does act in that manner.
And we call it enterprise fund. That's what we call it.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments concerning Article 9? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? Article 9 passes unanimously. All right, Article 10 and 11. I need to just provide some general information. These are contingent. These articles are contingent upon the state legislature passing the laws that will let us do this. In anticipation that they might do this, we're going to vote on Article 10 and Article 11. Doesn't mean we're doing it, but if the state votes to let us do it, then we've got it in place to do it when they say that we can, instead of waiting for the fall town meeting. And there is a typo in there. The article reads, see if the town will increase their local meals tax, General Law, Chapter 64L, subsection 2A, by 0.75. No. That was a mistake. It's at 0.75 now. So I'm going to read the motion, which is the correct amount. So they want to take it from 0.75 to 1.0. So, Article 10. Move that the town increase the local meals tax, General Law, Chapter 64L, subsection 2A, by 0.25%, contingent upon passage of amendments to that statute by the General Court and signature of the same by the Governor. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions concerning that? Did I confuse anybody? Yes. Okay. And Amy, this will be yours.
Wrong
Right.
Amy.
No, and the wrong Amy. Wrong Amy.
So essentially, we're at.
Oh, Amy, hang on, Amy.
Sorry, guys.
Shell Horowitz, 16 Barstow Lane. I didn't quite follow your math, Kurt. It was 0.75 plus 0.75 doesn't equal 2.5. It equals 1.5.
Right, it's a typo. Right now, we're at 0.75, and we're asking to raise it by 0.25. So it was simply...
Okay, that's not what you said. Okay.
Okay, my apologies for the confusion.
It is what you said.
Okay, Amy, would you care to just address it briefly?
No, you did a great job.
All right, any other questions concerning Article 10? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of Article 10, please raise your cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? 1, 2. Motion passes 163 to 2. Article 11, to see if the town will amend the local room tax occupancy excise under general, wrong motion, sorry. Move the town increase the local room occupancy excise under general law, chapter 64G, subsection 3A, by 1%, contingent upon passage of amendments to that statute by the general court and signature of the same by the governor. Is there a second? Any questions on Article 11? Amy, would you care to pick that up?
Yeah, okay. So this is another one, I think Kurt already said it before, it is contingent upon state legislation. Now, we think that it has the potential to bring in an additional $400,000 a year. And that was actually for the Article 10. Article 11, they're projecting $1.7 million for FY26. That would be additional to what's been presented tonight. So it's a significant amount for the town of Hadley because we do have a large number of visitors in town with graduations, parents' weekends, and different events. So it's pretty important for us to do this.
So what it basically means is that if somebody comes in from out of town, stays at a hotel in Hadley, there's a 1% tax that's added to their bill that comes back to Hadley, in a nutshell. Edwin, I know you're talking. Get the microphone if you would. Appreciate your questions, but need to hear them.
Okay, it's Edwin
Ed-
Matusko, 116 Stockbridge Street. It's an additional 1%, correct?
It's currently at 5% right now, so this would turn it into 6%.
Aha, thank you.
Oh, it's currently 6, it would move to 7. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments concerning Article 11? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? (164-1). Article 11 passes. Article 12. Move the town amend the town zoning bylaw by amending section 28 solar energy systems as set forth in Article 12 in the warrant. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Article 12. Planning Board. Hi. Hey, Jim.
Hi. Planning Board recommends this Article 401 with one was absent.
Get to the microphone.
Planning Board recommends this Article 401, one was absent. This article, a couple of years ago, we passed a revised solar energy bylaw to comply with the new state requirements on solar and energy and battery storage, et cetera. When the Attorney General ultimately approved the article, they had a concern about two little sections, and they said that these could be confusing. We think what you've written is not what you meant, and so we're basically just amending these two sections to be much more clear. It's not going to change anything in the solar or energy bylaw itself. It's just a clarification of these two sections.
Any questions or comments on Article 12? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of Article 12, please raise your red card. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? Article 12 passes unanimously. Now, we're going to skip one here. We're going to go to Article 14 and then go to Article 13, because if we do Article 13 before 14, what we voted on in 14 won't exist to vote on in 13. Did I say that right, Jim?
Yeah, I'll explain that a little better.
I'm counting on it. All right. All right, Article 14. Move that the town amend the official zoning map as set forth in Article 14 by the warrant. Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Jim, you're up.
Yes. Planning Board recommends this Article 4-0 with one absent. As Kurt says, we are renaming, we have two senior housing overlay districts in Hadley. One that runs basically it's the village overlay district from the Coolidge Bridge to the bike path. And the other one is that we voted on last fall, which is the area along North Maple Street and Rocky Hill Road. This will simply take those two districts and give them they will still be the senior housing overlay districts, but they're going to have different names. One is the rural overlay district is going to be the one along Rocky Hill Road and North Maple Street, and the center overlay district will be the one from the Coolidge Bridge to the bike path. There's no other changes at this point in time to the senior housing overlays. That's Article 13.
14.
No. The changes will be Article 13 to the district. This is just renaming them.
All right, so we're going to vote on Article 14, which is the renaming.
Yes, the Article 14, the one that's where we're talking right now, is just renaming the two districts. Article 13, that we're going to come back to in a second, will make some changes to one of the districts.
All right, so right now we're voting on changing the names of the districts. Any questions or comments concerning Article 14? Seeing none, move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. You can put those down. Those opposed? Article 14 passes unanimously. Article 13, move the town amend the town's zoning bylaw by amending Section 27, Senior Housing Overlay District, as set forth in Article 13 of the warrant. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Jim, you're up.
The Planning Board recommends this article 4-0 with one absent. This one will make some changes. There's the article that's in the warrant, and there was a handout, separate handout with some red highlight. The red highlights they signify the changes that would be made only to the senior housing district from Route 9 to the bike path. The one that just renamed the rural district on Rocky Hill Road and North Maple Street will virtually see no changes. The only changes, again, will be to the central district from Route 9, from the bike path to the Coolidge Bridge. And I would encourage the moderator to allow the attorney to speak on this one. He'll explain it much clearer than I will.
All right, so we do have a few people that will be speaking, perhaps to this article, but definitely to other articles that are not town residents. And so we need to vote. I make a motion that we allow non-town residents to speak when pertaining to a specific article. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion, comment? Please raise your red cards if you vote yes. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? Passes unanimously. You need that in writing? Okay, excellent. You want to explain? Okay, well, if there's any questions, Bill will explain it a little bit better. And if there's any questions, the attorney, Tom Reedy, who everybody probably has seen on TV with the planning board and other things in town, will also be available to answer questions.
What are we doing?
So, Bill Dwyer, 388 River Drive, and a member of the planning board. Essentially, what we're doing here is allowing for an increased density of construction in the central village overlay district, which would allow, among other things, larger apartments. This is all senior housing. This is not open to the public as a whole. But what we have had is we adopted the original senior housing bylaw about 17 years ago. Since then, we've had one project come to fruition. And the last condo in that project, number 39 or 40, I forget exactly how many, in East Street Commons, just sold last week. So in the 17 years that we have had the bylaw in place, we've only had that one project. It's only produced 40 units. We are trying something else. I think it's time to look for some other options. Not all the units in East Street Commons are lovely, but they're not right for everyone. And we'd like to spread it out a little bit. We'd like to increase the density. We do have a proposal that has been presented to us in concept for development on the village barn site. You're not voting on that tonight. We'll take care of that when and if it comes to us. But the idea is we're trying to create options for denser development, still on a Hadley scale. We're not talking about 20-story buildings, of course. It's going to top out at 3 stories, but to allow for slightly denser construction. That's it in a nutshell.
And Bill, just for clarification, senior housing, that'll be by statute law?
Senior housing, it's limited to people 55 years of age and up, and it is authorized by Massachusetts state law. It's an allowed discrimination, if you will.
Okay.
One of the reasons I had the planning board is in favor of this is, first of all, it's good tax money for the town. To be honest, seniors don't use a lot of services. Yes, they use sewer and water, which they pay for, but there are not a lot of other services. You know, there's no schools, there's no really other services that they're using. Okay, they get sick, they pay for ambulance service, et cetera, but there's not a big drain on town services. No more than, probably less than a homeowner. We would be allowing some apartments, again, the seniors, the East Street Commons is a bit pricey. And the apartments would be kind of the economy of scale. You're talking, 1 and 2 bedroom units. The price would probably be a bit more affordable than buying a house, if you would. So we think it's a good deal for the town, and because it's restricted to seniors, we're not allowing to have an influx of college students moving in there because they're not allowed.
Any questions or comments?
Yes.
Oh, Ken didn't see you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Ken Parker, 118 Mount Warner Road. Unless I have misremembered my Robert's Rules of Order, you cannot make the motion. So I will make the motion for this.
So you make the motion for, I know what you're talking about, but you need to do it to the microphone.
I move, what is the number on this? I move motion, Article 13.
Okay. All right. All right. What's that? No. I wouldn't allow it anyway at this point. Any questions or comments concerning Article 13?
Thank you, Jim. Shell Horowitz, 16 Barstow Lane. I spent 9 years with my good buddy Jim on the Long Range Plan Implementation Committee for the town of Hadley. And I am glad to see that many of the things we talked about are incorporated into this bill. And it has good attention to things like sustainability, pedestrian access, green space. I think it's a well thought out bill. I read through the whole damn thing, and I'm going to vote for it.
Any other questions or comments on Article 13? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Are all in favor of Article 13? Please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Article 13 requires a 2/3 majority. The vote is 160 to 5. Article 13 passes. Article 14, move the town amend the official zoning map as set forth. Oh, that's 14, I'm sorry. Got a hold of myself there. Article 15, move the town amend the town's general bylaws by adding a new chapter, 86-5, as set forth in Article 15 of the town warrant. Do I have a second? Molly.
Thank you. So this article is on the warrant tonight based on a recommendation from our town council. It's a statutory requirement of Mass General Law. So the new bylaw codifies the standing practice of the town treasurer finance director's office And if any changes are made in the statute, then we would then have to bring this back to a future town meeting for adjustment. In speaking with Linda Sanderson, she said that basically this is how she has been dealing with these issues. There are a couple of changes in the codification. The payment agreement with a term of up to 5 years, I think we may have been allowing a 10-year, and then also the amount of payment due from the taxpayers a little bit more favorable as a minimum. So nothing major, but this is something that we need to get into our bylaws.
Any questions or comments concerning Article 15? Seeing none, I'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? Article 15 passes unanimously. Article 16, move that the town reserve for later appropriation.
16, 17, consent agenda. 18.
I said go to 18, I'm sorry. My bad, I didn't cross it out. Article 18, move the town transfer $2,200 from the Community Preservation Act undesignated fund to the Hadley Historical Society for the restoration and preservation of the 1663 Quanquam mortgage and the 1676 John Crow estate deed under general terms delineated in Article 18 of the annual town meeting warrant for May 1st, 2025, and incorporated herein by reference. Is there a second?
So moved.
All right, Article 18. Mary.
Hi, Kurt.
Hi.
Can we go back one slide? I just wanted to do a quick overview of the CPA. There we are. Before we start in on the articles, we have 9 CPA articles this year, which for this meeting, which is fantastic. We're so glad people are coming to this Community Preservation Committee with projects they want to do. But just to give a little perspective, in fiscal year 24, $602,243 was added to the CPA fund. That's from the surcharge for the real estate taxes in town. It's also the state match, and it's also whatever funds if the equity funds that they've earned interest in capital gains. This year is still being collected, so that's the full year that we have is 602. The total right now in the CPA fund is $2,797,913. This is as of March. And there's 716 of that has already been voted on at town meetings for projects. Those are in process. These are the funds that haven't been spent yet. So available for new projects is $2,081,693. Before we have these 9 warrant articles, and they total altogether $621,627. Just to put that in perspective, it's a little bit more than what we, added to the fund last year. When this Community Preservation Committee looks at a project and talks with the people applying, we try to make sure that the funds that they're asking for are actually realistic to getting the project done, thinking about where costs are going and maybe having a little contingency in there if there are increases. We do feel confident with these projects, as confident as we can be right now in this environment, that the funds that are being requested are adequate to get the projects done.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments concerning Article 18?
Alan Weinberg, 108 Bay Road. I'm speaking to this warrant article as the president of the Historical Society. And I just want to explain a little bit what it involves. The project will involve funds for the restoration and preservation of 2 important original 17th century Hadley documents in the collection of the Historical Society, and which date from the first settling of the town. The project also received the support of the Hadley Historical Commission. The 1663 Quanquan deeds of mortgage to Zachariah Field is for land in North Hadley, which later became part of the school meadows owned by the trustees of Hopkins Academy. Quanquan was a Native American chieftain who controlled this land. The history of the document and the land involved is detailed in an article by Alice Nash in Marla Miller's book, Cultivating a Past, Essays on the History of Hadley. The second document is the 1676 deed, estate conveyance of John Crow, one of the first settlers of the town, to his grandchildren. John Crow was also the son-in-law of William Goodwin, who was one of the leaders of the new Hadley settlement. The estate deed is for the original Goodwin homestead on West Street. The document conservation work will be done in accordance with the recommendations of a professional conservator who has provided a detailed condition assessment and treatment proposal for the documents. The work will involve removal of acidic backing of the documents, cleaning, and other repairs. The CPA funds requested are for a total of $2,200, which includes $1,700 for the restoration work and $500 for purchase of archival storage for these and other historic documents.
Thank you. I'd like to mention the Community Preservation Act Committee voted 6-0-0 in favor, Select Board 5-0-0, and Finance Committee 4-0-0. Any other questions or comments concerning Article 18? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of Article 18, please raise your red cards. I see your red out there. You can put those down. Thank you. All those opposed? Article 18 passes unanimously. Article 19, move that the town transfer $50,000 from the Community Preservation Act Historical Reserve and $22,000 from the Community Preservation Act Undesignated Fund for a total of $72,000 to the Town of Hadley Cemetery Committee and DPW Cemetery Division to replace the fence along the north side of the old Hadley Cemetery under the terms delineated in Article 19 of the annual town meeting warrant, May 1st, 2025, and incorporated by reference herein. Is there a second? Article 19, surprise. Please.
Alan Weinberg, 108 Bay Road. I am speaking to this article as the chair of the cemetery committee. So, turn my hat around.
Thank you for the delineation, by the way.
The project will provide funds for the replacement of approximately 1,000 feet of deteriorated wooden post and rail fencing with more historically appropriate ornamental metal fencing on the northern or back side of the cemetery. This is the old Hadley Cemetery located to the west of the West Street Common on Cemetery Road. And the fencing involved is on the back side, not on the roadside. The current fencing was installed in 2007, has deteriorated past the point of salvaging or repair. And we're proposing to replace the wooden fencing with ornamental metal fencing like that at the North Hadley Cemetery. The Old Hadley Cemetery is the oldest town cemetery dating from 1661. It's listed on the State Register of Historic Places. It's one of the town's most important historical and cultural resources, and is regularly visited by descendants of the town's early settlers. The project's received the support of the Hadley Historical Commission. Earlier this year, we received estimates for the fencing in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. After consultation with the CPA committee, we are requesting $72,000, which will hopefully allow for inflation as well as soft costs such as survey work. And we hope you'll support the article.
And any funds not spended are returned back to the sources. Yes, okay. All right. Any other questions or comments concerning Article 19? All those in favor, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? Article 19 passes 164 to 1. Article 20, move that the town transfer $6,500 from the Community Preservation Act Undesignated Fund to the Hadley Department of Public Works in order to build an enclosure at the North Hadley Fire Station for the preservation and display of the bell that previously hung in the North Hadley Town Hall, under terms delineated in Article 20 of the annual town meeting warrant for May 1st, 2025, and incorporated by reference herein. Is there a second?
Second.
Go for it, Tim.
Just
name and address.
Tim Nyhart, 16 Kosher Drive. The town luckily has 3 very historical bells. The first one, the largest one, is right out front here. Back probably 8, 9 years ago, volunteers built that memorial for the bell. The other two, this one, the second one, is the smallest of the 3 bells. It's about a little over 18 inches in diameter. We had it restored a number of years ago with the other 2 bells, and we want to put that up in the Hadley Fire Station at the North Hadley new fire station. We're working with the fire department on the location, but we have these bells. They're historical. It's 1864 those bells were made. And we want to preserve it. We want to have it so people can see it. And we have volunteers that are willing to build a frame and preserve it inside so it doesn't see weather. So that's what we want to do. So hope you vote for it, please. And we'll come back for the third one at some time.
All right, any questions or comments concerning Article 20? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of Article 20, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? Article 20 passes 164 to 1. Article 21, move the town transfer $150,000 from the Community Preservation Act Housing Reserve to the Hadley Housing Authority for the replacement of all 80 front and rear exterior doors at Golden Court under the terms delineated in Article 21 of the annual town meeting warrant for May 1st, 2025, and incorporated by reference herein, and to further vote to authorize the Select Board to enter into a grant agreement with the Hadley Housing Authority under the terms delineated in Article 21 of the annual town meeting warrant for May 1st, 2025, and incorporated by reference herein. Is there a second?
Pamela Rogers, I'm with the Housing Authority,
And are you in Hadley?
the Hadley Housing Authority, but
No,
I'm not
no.
a Hadley resident.
Okay, the town you live in, though.
Hamden.
Just for the record, that's all.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure,
please.
Hamden. So this project, the Housing Authority is coming for Golden Court for the front and rear doors that are circa 1962. They are the original solid wood doors. They are warping. The handles are not ergonomically correct for our elders and disabled tenants. And last year were able to replace, those are actually the old windows. The town graciously awarded us a CPA and we have new windows. They will have new front doors and rear doors to go along with the new windows.
Any questions or comments concerning Article 21?
Mary Thayer, 179 Hockenham Road. I'm chair of the CPA committee. I forgot to say that before. I want to point out, too, that Housing Authority, this project total is about $750,000. The state is paying for the bulk of the cost of this. They're asking the town to put in the $150,000 and channeling it through the CPA is the way we're looking at doing that.
Okay. Any questions or comments concerning Article 21? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of Article 21, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3. Motion passes 162 to 3. Article 22. Move the town transfer $350,000 from the Community Preservation Act undesignated fund to the First Congregational Church of Hadley for the preservation and/or rehabilitation of the church steeple under the terms delineated in Article 22 of the annual town meeting warrant for May 1st, 2025, and incorporated by reference herein, and further, the Select Board be authorized to enter into and accept a historical preservation restriction on the property. Do I have a second? Second. Hey. Come on up.
Kurt Betchick, 7 Frello Drive. I currently serve on the Board of Properties and the Board of Finance at the First Congregational Church. And just to tell you a little story about what has happened.
Kirk, can you get a little closer to the mic there?
In 2019, we signed a contract with a century-old construction company from New Hampshire to make repairs to our steeple. When they were ready to start work, the company was told by our town building department that they could not do the work because they did not have the proper licensing for working in Massachusetts, and that the job would require plans and oversight by a structural engineer. So we started over, and after an exhaustive search, we finally found an engineer willing to do the design work. We also engaged the interest of the construction company who was doing a very similar project at the South Amherst Congregational Church. This project will involve removing the upper sections of the steeple, a complete rebuilding of these sections to be done on ground level, followed by their replacement. The outside appearance of the steeple will be unchanged from its current form. Several years ago, Hadley's CPA committee recommended and the town's voters approved our initial request for $100,000 to do the repairs. However, like most other things, construction costs have skyrocketed since that appropriation, and some of the structural elements of the steeple have deteriorated beyond simple repairs. We are now asking for an additional $350,000 in order to ensure our ability to cover the costs of the project. The church will provide another $50,000 toward the project. Without this appropriation, the church would substantially deplete its funds needed to meet its annual expenses and would not be able to function, thereby leaving the future of the building in question. Built in 1808 and moved from West Street to its current location in 1841, the building is one of the most historic structures in town. We expect that the project will maintain the integrity of the steeple into the next century. As to whether town money should be used to support any religious institution, that is not what this is about. The building is not only historic, it is used for a meeting space at little or almost no cost to community groups such as Girl Scout troops, Hadley Men's Club, Hadley Grange, Hampshire County Farm Bureau, Hadley Historical Commission, AA groups, and Take and Eat, a community effort which prepares meals for homebound seniors. CPA stands for Community Preservation Act, and we are asking for your support in preserving this historic community building and a highly visible Hadley landmark. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments concerning Article 22?
Good evening. My name is Irene Costello, and I live at 7 West Street. I'm here as a representative of the Hadley Historical Commission. The charge of the commission is first and foremost historic preservation, and we are in full support of the First Congregational Church of Hadley CPA application for the repair of the church steeple. I should mention that I am not a member of the parish. The First Church is located in the Hadley Center Historic District, which was added to the National Historic Places Register in 1977. Over the past years, other named buildings in that district have been demolished, and the Massachusetts Historical Commission has warned that should significant changes continue to be made, we could lose that designation. The elimination of First Church's steeple would be considered significant change, and it would alter Hadley's overall historic landscape. All of New England is dotted with these charming white clapboard churches with their tall steeples. These buildings have played a pivotal role in the history of New England, and they're part of our collective historic landscape. They should be preserved, and First Church of Hadley is also included in that. Precedent has already been set up to support the First Church through CPA funds. Most recently, CPA funds were approved for the repair of the 1909 clock, and other funds were approved to repair the steeple, as just described. You may have noticed that the steeple, you may have noticed that the steeple has dangerous lean to it. No matter what, the steeple has to come down, and with this funding, it will go back up again. The Historic Commission strongly encourages your support on this article. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments concerning Article 22?
Alan Zahowski, 138 West Street. We all have a stake in preserving that building. That is one of the most beautiful buildings of that sort in New England. It's a hallmark of this town. It'll show up on any printed material concerning the town of Hadley. But I'll give you one point, and I really mean this. I've thought about it umpteen times, that we all have a stake in securing that. In due time, it's going to fall. Pay attention to the lien. It's going to hit the town hall. You know, I've been to the town hall on business on very windy days. I go in and I get out quick. I wouldn't want to work there if a thunderstorm came through with a shear wind. I had a 10-bent tobacco shed. The roof was not even 10 years old, and a shear wind took it off. So we got two options: secure it or appropriate money to move it back to West Street. So when it falls, all the town's going to have to do is push it off the common and fix the grass. But let's not let the beautiful building go. Let's help secure it.
Ken Parker, 118 Mount Warner Road. You heard mentioned earlier that there was money had been appropriated to fix the clock. It's a Seth Thomas clock. It can't be put up in that steeple right now because of the weight. So people go by and they see the time is at 3:30 or whatever it is there. It's always that time. And it would be so nice to have that thing repaired, the clock put back into it, and have it as it should be. So I strongly ask you all to vote for this.
Well, Ken, at least the clock is right twice a day.
Any other questions or comments concerning Article 22? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of Article 22, please raise your cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Article passes 160 to 5. Article 23, move the town appropriate up to $7,187 from the CPA Open Space Reserve and to transfer $7,188 from the Transfer of Development Rights Fund for the purpose of acquiring an agricultural preservation restriction, APR, on all or a portion of the parcel of the property known as Catherine Kelly property, as set forth in and under the terms delineated in Article 23 of the annual town meeting warrant, May 1st, 2025, and incorporated by reference herein. And further, the Select Board be authorized to enter into and accept an agricultural preservation restriction on the property. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Article 23. Kayla.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Lubriel, and I'm the town's conservation agent and land use coordinator. I'm going to be presenting on the next few warrant articles, which are all regarding potential agricultural preservation restrictions, or APRs. So a little bit of background. Through the APR program, the state pays farmland owners the difference between the fair market value of their land and the agricultural value in exchange for the landowner maintaining that land as agricultural in perpetuity. So the land stays in private ownership, but the activity on the land is limited to agriculture. Typically, the state will ask for between a 5 and 10% contribution of the total APR value from the town. And in Hadley, that historically has been split 50-50 between the Community Preservation Fund and the Conservation Transfer of Development Rights, or TDR Fund. If you can go to the slide previously. So this is part of a decades-long commitment that Hadley has demonstrated towards protecting its natural resources. As of April of this year, Out of the almost 16,000 acres in town, 6,079 of them have been permanently protected, whether it be through land trusts, state and federal lands, APRs, or conservation restrictions. 3,500 of those acres are enrolled in the APR program, making Hadley the leader in the state when it comes to acreage of APRs in town. So this town meeting, there are 4 APRs to be voted on, totaling 42.75 acres, and for a total cost to the town of $81,855.
You can just stay nearby.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments concerning Article 23?
Andy Morris Friedman, 45 Roosevelt Street. I'm the vice chair of the CPA committee, but I'm just speaking my own opinion. Hadley is #1 in the state for agricultural protected land, ahead of Amherst. So let's vote yes and stay ahead of Amherst.
Any other questions or comments concerning Article 23? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of Article 23, please raise your red tags. Thank you. You can put those down. Anybody opposed, raise your red flags. 1. Passes 164 to 1. Article 24, move the town appropriate up to $6,875 from the CPA Open Space Reserve and to transfer $6,875 from the Transfer of Development Rights Fund for the purpose of acquiring an agricultural preservation restriction, APR, on all or a portion of the parcel of the property known as the Margaret Riley property, as set forth and under the terms delineated in Article 24 of the annual town meeting warrant for May 1st, 2025, and incorporated by reference herein. And further, the Select Board be authorized to enter into and accept an agricultural preservation restriction on the property. Is there a second?
So this is a 7.96 acre APR located on Bay Road, just east of Moody Bridge Road. Out of the total APR value of $275,000, the state is asking for $13,750 from the town for a 5% local match.
Any questions or comments on Article 24? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed. Article 24 passes unanimously. Article 25, move the town appropriate up to $6,250 from the CPA Open Space Reserve and to transfer $6,250 from the Transfer of Development Rights Fund for the purpose of acquiring an agricultural preservation restriction on all or portion of the parcel of property known as the Tulper family property, as set forth under the terms delineated in Article 25 of the annual town meeting warrant May 1st, 2025, and incorporated by reference herein, and to further that the Select Board be authorized to enter into and accept an agricultural preservation restriction on the property. Do I have a second?
This is an 8.17 acre APR located at 8 Middle Street, just south of Hadley Place. And out of a $250,000 APR value, the state is asking for $12,500 from the town for a 5% local contribution.
Any questions or comments concerning Article 26? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of Article 26, please raise your red tags. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed, raise your tags. Article 26 passes unanimously. Man, what'd I blow? Oh, 1, I'm sorry, okay. Article 26, my apologies. Article 26 passes 164 to 1. I apologize. Article 25 passes 164 to 1. I'd already jumped ahead to Article 26. Article 26, move the town appropriate $20,615 from the CPA Open Space Reserve and to transfer $20,615 from the Transfer of Development Rights Fund for the purpose of acquiring an agricultural preservation restriction, APR, on all or portion of the parcel property known as the estate of Joseph Koski property, as set forth in and under the terms delineated in Article 26 of the annual town meeting warrant for May 1st, 2025, and incorporated by reference herein. And further, the select board be authorized to enter into and accept an agricultural preservation restriction on the property. Is there a second? Second. Thank you.
This is a 15.52-acre APR located at the corner of Knightley Road and Roosevelt Street. Out of a $620,000 APR value, the state is asking for a $41,230 local match for a 6.65% match.
Any questions or comments on Article 26? Seeing none, move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your red cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed, please raise your red cards. Article 26 passes 164 to 1. Article 27, move the town amend Section 49 of the town's general bylaws, Community Preservation Committee, as set forth in Article 27 of the warrant. Is there a second? All right. And this is...
Mary Thayer, 179 Hockenham Road. The Community Preservation Committee was asked to take a look at the CPA section of the town bylaws and make any suggestions for changes. And we have a couple changes. One is to just make the terms written so that they are what has been in practice for many years now, which is there are 6 committees that are appointed a representative to the Community Preservation Act, plus 3 at large that the select board appoint. And they've been straight out for 3-year terms to begin with, and that's not how the bylaw in 2004 had been written. So we made that change. We also clarified a few things in there. And then the other is the state over the years has made some changes to their Community Preservation Act. And we wanted to mirror those. For example, the state has said CPA funds cannot be used for artificial turf. And also that the CPA committee can make a recommendation to have funds transferred from the CPA fund to a housing trust fund, which the town has been doing as well. So it's pretty much just cleaning it up and making it appropriate for how things are actually working today.
Okay, and the Community Preservation Committee has recommended this 6-0-0, Select Board 5-0-0. Any additional questions or comments on Article 27? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. You can put those down. All those opposed? Motion passes 164 to 1. Article 28 is being passed over at this time. It'll most likely be addressed at the special fall town meeting at some point in the near future. Okay. Quick reminder, paper shredding event, Saturday, May 17th, Senior Center, 10 to noon. Banner review, Young Men's Club, Sunday, May 4th. Do I have a motion to dissolve the meeting? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.